What did it say about the game the other day?
Probably exactly like it looked. We were running some stunts. We weren't handling the edge. We weren't getting out to turn the ball back, so we lost the edge a lot. Tackling wasn't very good. But we emphasized that we got to do something different so we can wrap, but we're not wrapping up well. Certainly couldn't get off the field with their rushing attack. They, out physical us there offensively. Not a whole lot in there, of good things to say as far as the blocking, breaking tackles, protecting the quarterback in all phases, getting open. Basically, I guess, Tom, probably just about what it looked like during the game. I thought Jacoby came in and gave us a spark, though, and played extremely hard. Even on the last throw, I thought it was on a dime. We just didn't catch it. But, I thought he did a really good job there. Special teams. Obviously, we've got to cover better. That's twice that we've given up punts for touchdowns. Kicked it out of the zone. But at the same time, we've got to get a guy on the ground. And we had opportunities to. Again, we missed tackles on that one as well, too. So probably about what you thought or what I thought from watching the game.
You said up here a few weeks ago that it was your butt on the line. I wonder if these next two games it feels like you're coaching for next year.
Well, you're always trying to win, so honestly, it doesn't feel a whole lot different than what it does every week. We want to win and coach for our players to be the best they possibly can be. And, in coaching, I think a lot of times you get concerned when you felt like you've had a really good practice week and it doesn't go well on a Saturday. So we went back and tried to figure out if we can change something up. Obviously, it was the same thing we did against Florida, format-wise. But no, we're trying to win games and trying to do the best we can to put the kids in the best spot to have success.
Coach, I don't know if you felt like the players' energy was right for the Auburn game, but with FIU coming to town, how do you make sure that they're right and mentally focused when it's not, a logo team, as they say?
Well, we have to be right because, I would think that we would really want to play after what happened Saturday. Of course, you can go back another Saturday and say you'd really want to play from what happened at Florida as well. But we got embarrassed Saturday, so I like our kids in the locker room. I would be shocked if we don't come out ready to play. I'm sure we'll practice well, and we've got accountability for them, for us, for me. But the past has said that we haven't played real well against teams like this, and so there's obviously a concern there. We've got to try to coach the way out of that during the week.
Obviously, the fans came out last game. I think they had 72,000 plus. Just your message to them to, it's been a disappointing couple of last home games, obviously.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we thank them for coming out and supporting us. And obviously, we're disappointed we didn't have even a good showing for them on Saturday. But we believe that we can get this thing turned around, and that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, Sam and McIntyre, people usually know him from Colorado, but he's got a bit of an SEC background. Dad was an SEC coach. Do you know him at all? Just kind of what do you think of him?
I know him because he's on the AFCA Board of Trustees with me, and so I know him there. I know some people who work with him at Colorado. Really energetic guy, great guy. I think he was a G at Georgia maybe at some point in his time. But he's doing a really good job there. The kids play extremely hard, and he's got a nice athletic quarterback and some skilled players and defensively they run and they'll hit you. So he's doing a really good job there at FIU.
And two SEC coaches fired. I think it's been about 24 hours. And that probably just increases the noise about what, because you're here. How do you deal with that? Do you block, you ignore it? Do you address it with, how you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's hard, obviously to block out all noise. You know what I mean? We've got a job to do, and that is to get prepared each and every week. And but Jamie and I, when we got here, we were planning on coaching here until whatever that date was that we were going to go down to Hot Springs and call it a day. I'm not close to that year right now, and the plan is to get this program back to where it deserves to be and stay here as long as we possibly can. And so it's hard. It's obviously, that was a really good question, by the way, but to block out noise, it's more like for the kids, for the recruits, once it starts, a lot of negative stuff, it's about recruiting. And I know what's going on. Hunter Yurachek knows what's going on, but really nobody else really, it's opinion. They don't really know what's going on, but it affects our recruits. So we spent a lot of time yesterday with that as well. But my job is to get ready for FIU. I'm not worried about my job security at all. And I think I'm the guy for the university, and I want to stay here for a long time.
Coach, kind of going off of saying it affects the recruits, around the country, starting to see some players hit the transfer portal. How difficult is it to, during this time period, to just keep your guys from entering the transfer portal?
Well, so far it hadn't been difficult at all. Obviously, we talk to our kids on a daily basis, and I know the defensive staff yesterday talked to every kid on the team. Also with the recruits because of all the noise that was going on. But I don't know why you'd leave the University of Arkansas. We treat our kids like they're supposed to be treated. We expect them to get an education. And it's a great place to live and a great place to get a degree. I wouldn't have any idea why they'd want to leave.
And those conversations with the recruits yesterday, just overall, how did you feel like all that went?
I think it went well. I haven't heard anything different. We can't do anything about what people write. I just wish they would write truth, but we can't deal, not opinion. Well, if you're saying a man's fired, then he should be fired. So we can't deal with untruth things, and that's probably the most difficult thing because the kids believe it and the parents believe it. So, but look, we put ourselves in this situation, and we got to fight our way out of it.
And from an offensive standpoint, how do you maybe get that group revved back up again to where it resembles maybe what you look like at Florida after last?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things. We've got to play better out on the edge. We've got to play better at tackle. We have to. So we have to make people miss. We obviously have to protect better. All those type things. We've got to change something up. Obviously, we had a change there in Florida, which worked for us. We did a lot of similar things, some changes on Saturday. They had a week to prepare for it, which was different because Florida did not. And so we have to continue. We're not a team that can just turn around and hand the ball off right now and just smash it like Auburn did to us. We're not there right now like we've been really for the most part all the other 3 years, especially the last two. So we've got to continue to try to steal some yards and things of that nature and get some what I might call easy yards or space yards. But once we get out in space, we got to make somebody miss too. And because other people are making us miss, and we've got to do something a little bit different so we can get some explosive plays.
Defensively, that group had played so well for so many weeks in a row. I wonder what the mindset is or what you've seen from that group. You think they can?
I really don't know. I know they were fine in the locker room. Everybody was quiet. Everybody was listening in the locker room. I'll know a little bit more to answer that question today. But they're a resilient group. I think they love their coaches. I think they respect their coaches, and and we've got a lot we got to clean up. But I think they will. I know they will because they want to win too, and they're a really good group of kids.
And the tackling issues that have kind of popped up here over the last 2 weeks, is that something that's maybe more difficult to fix this late in the season when it pops up?
Well, it wasn't a problem earlier, you know what I mean? So we're just not rapping. I mean, we're trying to body tackle everybody. And our linebackers have to, we're free in the hole a lot of times, and we're not making the play consistently like we do. Obviously, we've talked about what we can do differently. We had a tackling circuit. We've had, all those things. And I don't want to go live, at practice. But you can fix anything if you emphasize it, or you can, I don't know if fix is the word, you can get better at it. And so we're going to continue to do that and see if we can get better this week.
I know this might be a frustrating question for you, but there was a video, shared on social media about players watching a movie during halftime. I'm wondering, what were your thoughts on the video? Did you see it? And kind of what were your thoughts on kind of the reaction from people when they saw it?
What was the show? Yeah, I haven't seen Polar Express, but so I don't really know my thoughts on the movie. But, in our locker room, I want to reward our kids by letting them run through the A if they practice well. And so we don't have enough lockers in our main locker to house all the kids. So some of them have to go in a separate locker, and it's separate and a separate door to the locker. And so young man, I've already addressed it with him. He made a mistake. That's why we don't, you don't want cameras in a locker room for several reasons, because of the showering, you're this, that, and the other. But it's hard because the music's on it as well. You know what I'm saying? So that's a team rule. You can't have your, but there also is a team rule. You don't post anything, after Friday night, after we leave on Friday. And so the young man made a mistake, sent it to a friend sent it to his brother put it out on what have you. And I've already addressed it, and I think we're fine there. But it was just a mistake that a young man made, and I wish he wouldn't have. But he came in, he was sorry for it, he was very remorseful for it, and so we're going to move on.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some injury updates from you. Patrick Kudus, do you think he might be able to return this week?
Well, I hope so. He's going to do a little bit today, which Dave said that today, and he's talking about, well, he can do a little bit in Indy, Well, he couldn't, he was in a boot last week. So he has progressed. We're going to be smart with him because a beat up him is not better than what we had. But he has an opportunity. Braxton's got a sprain, a shoulder sprain. We're going to keep him out of contact all week, and we'll just see where that goes. But those are probably the only two that I can think of right now, unless you have somebody else on your mind.
I know he was shaking at the one
No,
point.
he's fine. He'll be fine.
And then Greer, I think, also came out.
He's fine as well. Yeah.
Terry didn't dress out. Do you know what his status is?
Singletary, he had an ankle that happened. It looked bad in practice, and stepped on a receiver's foot. He also is going to move around a little bit today in Indy. I think him and Kudus will be very, very questionable for the game. Along with Braxton. I think those three guys will be very questionable, but I think there is a chance.
Hey, Coach, going off of Bob's question a little bit earlier, you talked about your personal approach to kind of blocking out the noise. What's your method in terms of being the leader of the football team and communicating with the football team? What's your approach this week? Do you address all the rumors flying around, or is it the same kind of block out the noise approach with them?
Well, we got a lot to fix, so I'm going to go today about what we did wrong and how we can fix it. Our kids probably hear and read the same thing that the recruits do. I'm not going to address it because I don't think it's as severe as y'all do. But if they ask me about it, then I'm going to explain, about that. But I don't have time really to explain about my job security. To be honest with you, we've got to beat FIU, and And that's an honest answer. So if I was worried about me personally, I think it would take away from what we're trying to get done here. I got a job to do. I get paid to do it. I need to do a better job. And so I can't really sit around worried about my job security or me or anything like that. I just think it's a much bigger issue with the media than it is with myself.
You said you know what's going on and Hunter knows what's going on. So what's going on? Did you talk to him after the game?
I talk to Hunter every week. I talk to him after every single game. Talk to him some on Sundays, not often, but some. On Sundays. I talk to him on Mondays, and you'd have to ask him the conversation. But I haven't really expressed to you what our conversation was. Been over the 4 years, so I don't think today's a good time to talk about that either. We good? Well, you as a coordinator, you can only call certain plays now, and the people got to block it and execute it, and this, that, and other. Obviously, we thought it went well in practice and things of that nature. So, Kenny, we're still evaluating Kenny and those things. I'm not let one game there where we didn't have any success in reality change any of that, but it's not time really to make that decision to me. But I'm not disappointed in him by any stretch of the imagination. He's worked his tail off and came in here and he's done a really good job.
And I get there's no quarterback controversy, but what Jacoby did the other day, do you think about maybe giving him a series Saturday night? Or
we have, I hate it. I hate this. Hate's not a good word, but to come in here on a Monday and answer questions and be truthful to you is hard because we haven't had any conversations with anybody on the team. You know what I mean? Like if we were going to do something, and we're not, by the way, but Jacoby, I think, has earned the right to play, some. But to answer a question truthfully, when I haven't had the opportunity to tell a kid before I tell the media, that's why Mondays a lot of times, if we ever start practicing in the morning, I think these will be a lot better, interviews, you know what I mean? But I like I said before, Bob, I think he really gave us a spark, and then he looked fast, and he's played 2 games, so 2 touchdowns, in both games, and I'm really excited about him and our future. But I think he's earned the right to get on the field.
I ask you again Wednesday. And backs, I think he had a couple catches. I know he's not Hunter Henry, but you've obviously had injuries there. What'd you think of what he gave you? And maybe can he give you a little bit more than people might think?
Well, I hope so. I think Bax is reliable. You know exactly what he's going to give you, and he's been wonderful to have on the football team. And made a couple of ran up the sideline, made a nice run on one of his catches, and so we just, we only have him for 2 more games, so we got to rev him up a little bit and see what he can do. But I was proud of his effort on Saturday.
Coach, I'm sorry to ask another question about the Polar Express thing, but is it normal for them to be watching something on the TV during games?
Well, it was halftime, so the game wasn't during the game. But no, you probably knew the answer to that.
I figured so.
I'm gonna ask you, do you think it's normal for them to
No,
watch?
not at all.
Look, I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know there was a TV in there. And somehow the TV got turned on. I'll be perfectly honest with you, I don't think that him being in the red shirt locker room watching a movie at halftime had anything to do with us getting our butt kicked.
And then Isaiah Satania, it seems like it was one of the first times we've seen him catch a ball down the field like he did on Saturday. Is that something maybe we could see more moving forward from him?
I hope so. We obviously have run running routes where he is running deep over the middle of the field, and he happened to get open that time and he threw it to him. But we always have somebody down the middle of the field to throw it to. We also have some other guys that are fast on the team, but he made a nice catch on that one. And obviously, if we can get it more often, we sure would like to do that.
Developing players in the age of NIL and modern football, is it harder to feel like you're developing the younger guys because there's so much out there? How do you think
I
about
know what you're
player
saying.
development?
I know what you're saying. You're saying, where's your mind go? Your mind go, okay, we're going to stay with this. Is this what you're asking? Or are we going to stay with this kid, or are we going to go try to out recruit him? Are we going to develop on him, wait for him in the spring? Right. I mean, those are questions you ask all the time, and that's a good question. I think it's on the individual base, of who it may be and all that. And then it depends on the group, to be honest with you, Tom. I mean, if you've got to rehaul a group, then you probably are thinking JC, portal, you know what I mean? Something to immediately. And then what you're doing when you do that, you're just saying, hey, you can develop and maybe you'll be ready after spring ball. If you're not, we can win some games and then give you another 6 months, weight room, all that stuff to develop. So I think you ask that question individually, and then I think you ask it as a group. And those are hard because you want to be as loyal as you possibly can to the guys on your team. But obviously we're in the win business and we need to win as well.
You mentioned JUCO there. I'm wondering, have you noticed a trickle down effect with more talented kids that don't have the opportunity to go sign with their D1 school just because of the portal and everything, where there's more talent at the junior college level now, maybe? Or have you noticed any kind of difference there with the?
What I've noticed in junior college is they're not being as highly recruited as what they used to be. And it's simply, nor is high school. It's simply because you saw a guy play against Syracuse on tape and he looked really good, or you saw a guy play against Ole Miss on tape and he looked good, and you're going, okay, I want that guy because of what you see of who his competition is. I think that's probably where, I'm familiar with the Kansas junior colleges because I was a head coach over there. So I know a little bit more about who they're playing and the competition than maybe somebody who is not quite as familiar. But I think it's trickled down to junior college as well. I just don't think it's as highly recruited as what it had been in the past.
I know we spoke about maybe the surprise of how poorly the first quarter went on Auburn when we spoke Saturday, but I'm just wondering if maybe it was a little extra sting because of the optimism coming out of the Florida game. Did you sense maybe in the good week of practice and everything, it caught you guys off guard and that stung a little bit more?
I don't know. I mean, momentum's a wild thing now. I mean, when you lose it, it's hard to get back. And you guys asked me a lot of questions about that on 4th and 1s or faking kicks or whatever, you know what I mean, whatever it may be. And you're always thinking about what if you lose a moment. We just never had. They took the opening kickoff, they went and scored. We got us, punt, boom, got back to score. And we kept talking about, hey, we can get back in there, get back in this. Nudie we were down 21-0, but Nudie gave us a chance to maybe get maybe not get momentum, but get it stopped. And we go 3 plays, 2 yards and kick the field goal. So you're constantly trying to do that. I don't know if the Florida game went negative towards this one, or, I don't know. You always want your team to feel good. If you're holding them accountable, you want them to feel good, which they did, last week. So if I had to answer that, and probably any coach had to answer that, that would never happen. But I don't know. That's a good question. I really don't have a great answer for you to that question.